Welcome back to episode 11 of 2 Minute Tuesdays, where each week I'm still doing the shallowest of dives into some of AWS's services for those just starting their cloud journey. Now, this week we're talking about one of the serverless services called Lambda. So let's get 2 minutes on the clock, somewhere up maybe here on the fence, and let's go. Now, let's clear something up before we begin. Technically, Lambda isn't serverless. It still requires a server to run. It's called services because you don't have to worry about that server at all. No hardware updates, software updates, security updates. It is all taken care for you by AWS. So what is Lambda? Lambda is a microservice that allows you to write code in various different languages, such as Python or C#, Node.js, Ruby, and a few others. And then this code is run and does whatever you design it to do. Lambda is designed to be part of an event-driven architecture. It needs to be triggered by something. So what do I mean by that? Imagine your own home setup. When you walk to your front door, your movement triggers the porch light. That's event-driven. Movement is the event, and this triggers the light. Even something as simple as setting your alarm. You set it for 7 in the morning, and it goes off. That's event-driven. An event happens, it gets to 7 o'clock, and that then triggers your alarm to go off. So to bring it back to Lambda, almost anything can be an event to trigger. I wrote a Lambda function a while ago that says when something's uploaded to a specific S3 bucket, that's the event. This then triggers a Lambda function which writes the details of the object that was uploaded to a DynamoDB database. Or, for example, if someone places an order on your online shop, this can then trigger Lambda to send out an email via the simple email service. Lambda is basically limitless in what it can do. Now, talking about limitless, let's just cover Lambda's limits. So the maximum execution time for the code is 15 minutes. So if you've got something that's going to take longer than that to run, Lambda's not going to be for you. Also, it has ephemeral disk space that's limited to 512 megabytes. And there are a few other kind of limits to do with memory and other bits, but you can Google those yourself. Now, you've got to make sure that you give your Lambda function an appropriate role. Think back to I am last week. It has to have a role so that it can do the thing that you want it to do. And the last thing I'm going to mention is that you're charged by the millisecond. So the less time your Lambda function runs, the cheaper it's going to be. So that's it, a couple of seconds early. Lambda is the event-driven serverless code that is a key part of microservice architectures. It can do almost anything. Now, I give you full permission to add anything in the comments that I missed or you think will be helpful, so please do that. Also, a few people have asked where they can get all of these videos, so I've started posting them to a YouTube channel that I'll include a link for that, for the playlist for that below. So thanks again for joining me. Do repost it if you found it interesting. And I look forward to seeing you for next week's 2 Minute Tuesdays when I'll be talking about SNS, the simple notification service. I'll see you next week.